as a state representative, a lot of folks don't have a clue what I do. They think I'm in Washington, D.C. most of the time. They're asking me to talk to Trump and all these different folks, not realizing that, hey, I go straight up to Atlanta and I come right back to Augusta and handle Jefferson County as well. But a lot of times the people just don't have an idea of what your state legislators or your local legislators, or local politicians, what their responsibility is. So it's very important that we get out and just try to explain to them what they are or what they do, and not just election time.
Hello, Scouts. Welcome to another episode of Bobby and Rodney with Local Lookout. So, Rodney, how you doing?
Hey, Bobby, I'm doing great, man. Look, I know we have a fun field show tonight. We have usually when we have one of our local politicians or state politicians on, we don't tarry around much because they have very, very busy schedules, and we like to get right to them. So, without further ado, man, let's get to our special guest.
All right. So our special guest tonight is State House Rep, Brian Prince. Let me do a quick intro. Someone I've known for a long time, someone very personal to me, and is also my fraternity brother. So, but we'll keep it strictly on a professional level. Representative Brian Prince serves the citizens of House District 132. His constituents are comprised of living in Jefferson County as well as a portion of Richmond County. Brian currently serves as chairman of the Urban Affairs Committee. He also serves on the Appropriations Subcommittee on General Government, the Defense and Veteran Affairs, Motor Vehicles, Reapportionment and Redistricting, Technology and Infrastructure Innovation, Transportation, and the Ways and Means Committees. Brian is a retired United States Army Signal Officer and currently works as Chief Operations Officer of Brock's Driver Education School in Augusta. He received his bachelor's degree in zoology from Fort Valley State College and a master's of science degree in administration from Central Michigan University. Let's welcome Representative Brian Prince, my fraternity brother, someone I've known for a long time. Representative Prince, welcome to the show.
Well, listen, Bobby, thank you. Rodney, I appreciate you guys having me on. And hey, it's the Fort Valley State University.
Correct.
Now, it was a college back on there, but make sure we say the, get it right. But
I stand corrected.
Yeah, listen,
I stand corrected.
No, thanks for having me on, and I look forward to just having a good conversation, and hopefully I can have some value added. Is what I like to do.
Absolutely, and for just so anyone knows, I wanted to have Representative Prince on today because not too many times people know who their state representative is, first of all. But Mr. Prince can provide some education, and that's pretty much what I wanted to do here today, provide some education to voters. I think we're severely lacking knowledge when it comes to voting and even any awareness as to what is going on with your local state reps who make decisions on state laws. So, Representative Prince, if you could please just share your knowledge just about voter education, about how the process actually works.
Well, I tell you, Bob, thanks a lot, and great topic, especially right now. And I tell you, I say especially right now because in the state of Georgia right now, if you know that we have a election going on, and people say, "What election is going on?" Public Service Commission, okay, right. The PSC. Who are they? I mean, that is, and you don't see a whole lot about that because it's a statewide race, basically, and then they're going across the state, but a lot of folks don't pay a whole lot of attention to that. But these are the folks that determine your electricity rates, from Georgia Power.
We had an interruption
Electric,
in your connection.
Whomever you have. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
we can
just keep.
Okay, I'm
going.
sorry.
You're good.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard somebody say. But so voting is always very important, whether you know it or not. But one thing that a lot of things we can do as educators and folks who want to try to boost our voting at the polls is to sort of try to educate folks, try to get them out, tell them why it's important, who their officials are, and what they're required to do or what they should be expected to do. As a state representative, a lot of folks don't have a clue what I do. They think I'm in Washington, D.C. most of the time. They're asking me to talk to Trump and all these different folks, not realizing that, hey, I go straight up to Atlanta and I come right back to Augusta and handle Jefferson County as well. But a lot of times the people just don't have an idea of what your state legislators or your local legislators or local politicians, what their responsibility is. So it's very important that we get out and just try to explain to them what they are or what they do, and not just election time. And that's the biggest thing, is that once the election is over, somebody gets in, people forget about it, and then you don't see them again until the next election season. But trying to get voters out, trying to understand the process, which is something you really learned in high school, and some of us learned that a lot long before high school. I like to tell folks, if you know about passing bills and things like that, but you can always go to Schoolhouse Rock. Back in the day, that was a television show that came on when I was a kid, and basically it taught you how to pass a bill and how a bill gets to Congress and gets through, going through the different subcommittees, then the committees, and then getting on the floor to get for votes and things like that, and what your legislators or what your representatives, what role they play in that. So again, this process, again, a lot of folks try to stay away from it unless it's just election time. They want to cast a vote and then, hands off after that, and then blame you for, or at least blame politicians for not getting what they wanted when, hey, you had an opportunity to come to the table, tell us what you want, because, I'm one person. I have over 65,000 constituents that can vote for me. And that's not on top of the folks who just know me in the Augusta and the different areas who come to me all the time for things. So it's a lot of folks out there that just need to know what we do and how to hold us accountable for what goes on in the state of Georgia.
Now, I know the answer to this question already, but tell those who may be listening for the first time, how long have you been serving? How long have you been representative of your district?
I've been been representative 12 years now. I got elected back in 2013 in a special election. The person who was in the seat that I was in passed, and we had to have a special election. So I came in sort of like a different, we call it mid-cycle. Most folks come in every 2 years. I came in the middle of a session. And so for the last 12 years, going into my 13th now, that's what I've been doing. Been there representing Augusta and Jefferson County.
It's interesting because what spurred your desire to run anyway? Because sometimes people label all politicians as dirty. Now, I know Brian Prince, and I know Brian Prince is not a dirty individual, okay? So, it's just a stereotype that gets out there for people to think they're just getting into politics to make money. So just tell us, what was your decision to basically hear your calling to come serve?
Well, I tell you, it definitely wasn't in my books, okay? I tell you, as you mentioned before, I'm a retired Army guy. I worked as a contractor for a company, Booz Allen Hamilton, so I'm consulting with the military. So I was having a great life. But as I mentioned before, the person who was in the seat is a good friend of mine, Mr. Quincy Murphy, passed. And a lot of mentors, a lot of my father friends and church friends thought that, hey, you should try to consider this. And of course, had no interest in that at all, but they sold me on it as saying, hey, it's only 40 days a year, and you get the summers off. You just go up there, do your thing, and come on back, and then you just go back to your regular life. And of course, that's not true now, because this is a everyday job. People come at you every day. It's always something to do, whether you're representing others. But I sort of fell into it, and my military background, leadership positions I had in the community with the church and things like that, sort of helped me navigate this whole system. And we've been doing pretty decent so far.
I know you're someone I can talk to and just get kind of lay of the land, and just I like to just get a broad knowledge of a lot of things, especially as relates now to voting and just politics in general, to try to educate those that I know about it. One of the things I asked you about personally that I'm glad you shared with me just to give me an understanding, but the term crossover for voters who don't know what that term actually means. Can you just describe what crossover actually is and when it is every year?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, basically, the General Assembly way is, just how we operate. Every year, we have what we call, the legislative session. It's 40 days out of the year, and it starts the second Monday of each year, and we go for 40 days. Now, that 40 days could go straight 40 days. We don't never do that, of course, but it usually lasts till about the end of March, around the 1st of April. We always try to get out of there before Masters Week, and I think that's something we in Augusta sort of put in place, but unwritten rule. But that's how it happens. But during the session, what folks do, legislators, they drop bills, whether it's for abortion, whether it's for moving a county line, whatever it is. And we have approximately, again, 40 days in the session, but that first 30 days, of course, you have the House side and you have the Senate side. Bills are dropped, bills are heard, they go to committees, they go through vetting and things like that. But basically, what at crossover day is the time for the House and the Senate to have their bills cross over to the other side. So basically, on day 30 is usually when crossover happens. All the bills that come out of the House of Representatives has to be passed through the House of Representatives. Okay? Once they pass out, then they can cross over to the other chamber, the Senate, and vice versa. So that's why they call it crossover day. That's the last day that bills can cross over. Now, I can drop a bill first day. They can and this is just a hypothetical. They can view it, go to committees, and about 5 days later, technically, it could come to the House floor. We can vote on it, and it can go over to the Senate. Okay? However, that normally doesn't happen, but bills do pass through that way. However, on crossover day, that is the last opportunity for the House to get all their bills out of the House over to the Senate. Now, some have already gone over there because we had some other legislation that the governor, may be some of his priorities. They move a little faster than what a normal legislative bills would do. And it's vice versa with the Senate. Their bills have to be out of the Senate on crossover day. Once they cross over, then you have about approximately a little less than 10 days. I say a little less than 10 days because you got a lot of committee meetings, you got a lot of other things going on during that time. But that's when all the bills in the Senate and go over to the House and vice versa. And then they have to go through the whole shebang of which we had to go through to get the House bill out of the House. They have to go through the House committee. They have to go through vetting, the Rules Committee, and then, of course, they have to go to the floor to get voted on. And that's all that goes well, then they can go to the governor's desk for him to veto or to vote or to sign or whatever. So basically, that's what crossover day is, the last opportunity for bills to cross over from each chamber over to the other chamber.
I wanted to ask another question to follow up with that. I know who my state House rep is, and I've gone to his town halls, and one of the things that he shared I thought was very interesting, and maybe you can shed some light on this too, again, the voters, so that they can understand and be educated about this process. How bills are hijacked, okay? I'll let you give a description.
I don't know why you
but
brought that up for me, man. They must have told you about my bill.
No. No, I noticed that I don't think people understand that if you may have something as simple as I want a bill for clean water, okay? And what you propose in that bill, it gets hijacked by other things that are added to.
Okay, I'm a victim of that. Okay, last session.
Okay.
Last session.
Okay.
I sponsored a bill for code enforcement officers. Okay, basically, and it's an incident. And trust me, Prince don't have any good ideas. All the bills I propose and get through, they come from someone on the ground who has actually lived through it. And I had sponsored a bill for code enforcement officers, basically to give them protection when they have to go onto a yard or to somebody's house to enforce a code. And I mean, listen, I got emails from code enforcement officers across the state. Hey, great bill, man. We need you. How did you come up? This is great. And legislators, it went well. I mean, the House, it came out of, went to committee, went to non-Judy, the the judicial side of the House, got out of judicial, came to Rules Committee, came out of Rules, came to the House floor, and it was voted. I think we had 170 to 0. Well, no, to 1. I had one no vote on that. So basically, the bill got out of the House and it went over to the Senate. Okay, then I had to take that same bill, present it to the Senate's version of our judicial on the House side. No problems, got out of there, went to Senate Rules. Basically, it goes to Rules before it goes on the floor. During Rules is when my bill got hijacked. Again, my bill dealt with code enforcement officers, making it a higher penalty, aggravated assault, if they're bothered, or somebody harasses them, gives them a hard time, or actually assaults them when they're doing their job. That bill was hijacked and changed to a bill that dealt with librarians being charged with a misdemeanor for having certain books in certain portions of the library. Okay. Code enforcement officers, librarians, keeping books over here. That's the thing about this whole politics thing that people don't understand, is that when you open up what we call a code in the Georgia Code, if you open up something that's in that code, that bill can be changed to something that you've never seen before. And that's exactly what happened with my bill. I mean, it got through the House, got through the Senate, went to Rules in the Senate, and they changed it. Now, that bill did not get to the Senate floor because, folks said, hey, we don't need to hear this. And the librarians, of course, they raised a lot of noise and things like that. So it basically it died up in, I say it died. It still can come alive next year because we're on a 2-year term. Our terms are 2 years. So that same bill right now is sitting in the Senate Rules. Now it will come back to the House, and I can present the same bill that code enforcement for the code enforcement folks, and it could get changed again if it gets back over there. But again, that's just part of the politics and part of the game that people play.
And I brought that up because I know a lot of times, again, the public can say things like, we elected such and such and they ain't done nothing, they ain't done nothing. And they don't understand, like an example of what you just gave of you are doing something, and when you think it's going to get to the floor to actually go to vote and actually do something that is good for the community or good for, overall the state, they get hijacked, and then nothing happens. And I know the same thing happens on the national level with our politicians. So here it is on the state level, and we can imagine the same thing probably happens on the local level. But these are things that I know someone like you can share with us, that we can share to the public so that they understand a little bit more about what you do when you're actually there with proposed legislation. I don't want to hold the whole segment up. Rodney, did you have any questions? I have a couple of things I want to ask Representative Prince.
Yeah, no, just enjoying the conversation. I'm going to get mine in here real quick. It's more, like I said, I'm just enjoying the conversation, man. And I'm glad that, Rep Prince is actually, we have a lot of state reps on and state senators on. And we ask them, to try to do their due diligence to, give a civics lesson almost. And I'm just so caught up in the things that he's saying that, but what I will say is that, we talk a lot, Rep Prince, on the Black Man's Roundtable throughout the different podcast platform, that we have about local, the importance of local politics, and that all politics truly is local. And we do know that a lot of people do not know what their state reps do, the purpose of them. Like you said, they think they're up in D.C. somewhere, not realizing they're right up under this gold dome here in Atlanta. And so that's why I'm so glad that you broke down some of the processes. But one thing I would like to say, Bobby, is that when we have, I think, it used to be a time where if you did not have military service, you could almost forget about getting elected, even to your local levels, let alone president, or something like that. And so I think that in having, Representative Prince on here, a retired Army guy, is very important. So people, and I want for people to go, you know, on, the House Representative website here in the state of Georgia. Just Google it and look at his voting record. And what they're going to see is that, we have a problem with integrity with our politicians. We have a problem with loyalty to the community, to their constituents. But usually, when you have a retired military veteran sitting, and of course, we're all part. Look, Bobby, you're a veteran. I'm a veteran. I'm retired Army, just like Rep Prince is. But here's the thing: it got nothing to do with that. What I'm telling people to do, Bobby, I always so much have a question than I have an action. And my action is to tell people to watch Representative Prince, and then who's a retired military veteran, and then watch the rest of them, okay? Who are not. And I just want to add that to the conversation. Take it back away, Bobby. You got it.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So Representative Prince, I have just a couple more questions for you. Sure. Any current bills on the floor that you think the public should be aware of? Not necessarily that you have to give an opinion on how you're voting, but unless you want to. But any current bills on the floor you think that the public should be aware of that we can share?
And Bobby, if I could just answer that,
sure.
Rep Prince, especially in our community, if you can.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, first of all, there's nothing on the floor as we speak, okay? And what I mean by that is the session is over. We're not voting on anything now. But however, okay, there are bills that were introduced, as I mentioned before, i.e. that code enforcement bill that I had, that did not make it across the line. It did, for lack of better, it didn't get out of the Senate. It didn't go to the governor's desk or anything like that. There are a lot of bills who didn't make it to crossover day that are still out there, that are still active when we come back for the second portion of this term, the second session of this term, okay? So those bills, they will go right back to the committee, and then they'll start over again, okay? But those bills do have an opportunity. They don't have to go all the way back to where we, being introduced and all that stuff. They're already out there on the floor. They have a bill number, and basically they can pick up from there and try to get it over before this term ends, which is the second session, okay? Once that second session is over and a bill doesn't pass, we call it the last day, we call it sine die. It's a French term that goes back to just talking about that's the end of everything is over, okay? Then those bills have to be refiled and all that other stuff. So I say all that to say there are some bills that are still out there that are still alive that we've been working on. Housing is one of the biggest things, is affordable housing. As a chairman, and I'm blessed to be, I was asked to be a chairman 2 years ago of the Urban Affairs Committee that was stood up to deal with things that happen in urban areas, i.e. homelessness, the housing portion, also transportation. So we see a lot of those things that will be coming through our committee. But what's out there now? One of the biggest things, and it's been out there for a while, is sports betting. Okay, the sports betting bill, and how does that affect our community? There are some pros and cons on both sides of it. I'm a Democrat, and our caucus is, supporting portions of it, but we want to make sure that those proceeds go back to our community, go back to help pre-K, Head Start, those types of things, college education, much like we had to do with the Hope Scholarship. And again, that's one of the things that's going to be out there, sports betting. And the thing about betting, and I say sports betting, for example, it's happening now. People do it all the time. However, it's not, quote unquote, sanctioned in the state of Georgia. And a fear of that is because if you open that door, the next door is casinos. the next door is this, and and how do you feel about casinos? Some of us support it, having casinos in certain areas. I mean, we keep our monies right here in the state of Georgia. Don't have to go to Alabama or different places like that. We keep it all. But what does that bring with it? Some folks think it's going to be a crime thing. It's a lot of homelessness, a lot of people hanging out, losing all the money and things like that. So all those things come up. But sports betting is one of the biggest things that's going to be out there that we're going to definitely probably hear next year. This past year, of course, we had the torque reform. Torque reform basically, for lack of a better word, limits what you can, sue for. Only a certain amount in certain areas. Of course, that was a big fight, but that was one of the governor's biggest initiatives. I mean, he tried to do that a couple of years ago, and the trial attorneys, businesses, they just didn't mix. So finally, they pushed something through that, of course, I didn't, and the Democrats didn't agree with. But again, when you have the majority in the House, you have the majority in the Senate, and you have the executive office, Republicans can basically sort of pass most of the things that they want.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Rodney, did you have anything else before I close out with Representative Prince?
No, again, I just want to thank Representative Prince, man, for giving us an in-depth conversation about what is going on, and again, they're so when we, like I said, when we say all politics is local, what people have to understand is the things that these representatives up in the state house, okay, and these senators up in the state house, what they pass during their 40-day session. What we need to understand in the state of Georgia, this stuff is probably going to affect you before the weather changes in the state. Okay, what they're doing in D.C., it may not even affect you until 3 years down the road. Who knows? Whatever, 10 years down the road sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. So when we say all politics is local, we want when I challenge you to go out there and check out Representative Prince's voting record, to follow him, to compare him to other local and state politicians around where in the districts in the communities that he served. Do your homework. Like I said, Bobby been knowing Rep Prince for a long time. I have not, but I have done my homework. Bobby, I do my homework. And, I say, hey, go out there, check out the man, check out who he is. And because, look, the more he continue to do up in the State House, been 12 going on 13 years, the more someone going to want to come and challenge him. And when they do, you already know, what you have. So, Rep Prince, I just appreciate you being on. Bobby, finish, close it out, brother.
Well, it speaks volumes that you've been there for 12 years going, ongoing. It just speaks volumes to who you are representing your district. Again, I know the character of Brian Prince, the whole Prince family. I'm going to speak highly of them, and he's my good fraternity brother as well. So, Representative Prince, if there's anything final that you want to say to close us out, and we're just appreciative and thank you. Because I feel enlightened even more, even though you schooled me on some things before, but to hear it again is very appreciative. So is there anything you want to say to close out?
And Rep Prince, make sure you bring up any events or any events you may have coming up, or make sure that people know how to contact you. Yes,
good.
Sir.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for having me. Okay, I consider this a privilege. And Bobby, you made it easy and Rodney definitely on the technical side. I can't. We'll talk about that later. But I tell you, Rodney said something very important that I like to, and it sounds so simple, but as he said, politics is local. Okay, your local guy, what they do on a day. I'm talking from your city commissioners, your county commissioners, whatever you have, city councilmen. The decisions they make, that's going to affect you right now. It's going to affect you the most. You're going to feel that at the state level. The things that we decide, that we vote on, that we propose, those types of things, that's going to affect you long before the stuff in D.C. Long before the stuff. So you got to know who your local folks are, who represents you, and you have to hold us accountable. And what I mean by holding us accountable, I'm not saying you got, every vote we make you got to agree with, or things like that. But if you're something that's just that we need to pay attention to, you have to tell us, because we can't see everything, and that's one thing about that. Speaking of that, the House Democratic leadership, we're having what we call town halls. We're going around the state. We'll be here in Augusta, I think it's June the 18th or something like that. But we probably in your area as well. Now, I don't have that listed, but I can get it to you guys so that you can put it out. But we're doing a listening session. We're going around the state. We have a lot of good leaders, former leaders that are former governor candidate Stacey Abrams. She's a part of that crew. Michael Thurman. A lot of folks that are going around the state. And as Democrats, we want to hear what folks are saying and talk about some of the things that have happened in the past, i.e. abortion rights, this tort reform, a lot of other things that are going on that's affecting us here, right here in the state, every day. So we have those listening sessions going on. This summer, I've been asked to go speak on a couple of panels for different organizations, and basically what I try to do is just try to get out and just let them know that, hey, we're out there. We're fighting, and I say fighting, we're working hard with what we have. When you're in the minority party, it's no excuse, it's just reality. You really have to work hard to get in certain positions where you have influence and to get certain things passed. It's not as easy as folks think. But at the end of the day, this is why I signed up for it. Didn't know how I got in it, but I'm in it, and to God be the glory, because it's not Prince. I tell you, I've been blessed to just have his hand on me and guiding me, because, like you say, through him all things are possible. You're looking at him right now.
Amen.
Thanks.
Amen. Brother Prince, Representative Prince, thank you so much for your time this evening. This will be, I'm sure, highly viewed, and hopefully it's been highly educational for everyone, as it has been for me. So thank you very much, and I hope you have an enjoyable evening. Please say hello to the family for me.
We will. Thanks a lot. Rodney, good talking to you, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you, Representative Prince. And we look forward. Look, you'll be having your 7th term coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah. Come on,
yeah.
Hey guys, please come visit us. Please come to the Capitol.
Man.
Please come and visit us.
We also look forward to having you back on this platform.
Yes.
To reach those people in Augusta. Yes, we are primarily a Metro Atlanta platform, but however, we're reaching the entire state in our 3rd year. So by the time you get ready to run again, we'll be in our 4th year. So we're looking forward to it, brother. Great conversation.
Who?
Yo. Who? All right. Put in both. Yes, sir.
All right, Bobby. That was great, man. I tell you, I really enjoyed listening to Rep Prince there, man, and getting to know him. Like I said, I did my homework and stuff, and I just want people to really go out there and take a look, at what he's doing in the community. I'm so proud when we have veterans, man, to run for office, because some of the things that we are seeing, in our local politicians and our state level politicians, and also, our national politicians, is, a lack of esprit de corps, man. It's a lack of patriotism, true patriotism, not just, draping some flag over you, which is illegal, by the way. I know you and I both know that. You're never supposed to, wear the flag in any kind of clothing or whatever.
That's right.
But either way, I'm always excited when we have a veteran, on, and now we're talking about especially an Army veteran, and we're talking about a retired veteran. So, great conversation with Rep Prince, Bobby. Appreciate you asking them on.
Absolutely, and I definitely want to bring him back. As you see, he's a great representative for his district, great representative in the state overall. So I definitely look forward to bringing him back.
Great, great. Hey, look, Bobby, let's we have about 25, 30 minutes or so. Let's jump right into, man, our hot no, Civics 101.
Civics 101. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
So what we're going to flow into with Civics 101 is habeas corpus. All right. What is habeas corpus? So Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2 in the Constitution. It reads, the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. So it's basically allowing you as a citizen, let me change that. A writ requiring a person under arrest to be brought before a judge or into court, especially to secure the person's release, unless lawful grounds are shown for their detention. In simple terms, habeas corpus means you have the right to be brought before a judge to be told why you are being held and to challenge the legality of that detention. It's a fundamental legal protection against unlawful imprisonment. So this dovetails into what we're seeing as far as a lot of conversation about deportations. It's amazing to me that we're living in an era where people don't, we expect our high officials to abide by the Constitution. Both of us, again, serving in the military. I'm sure if Representative Prince was on, he'd say the same thing. We take a solemn oath to defend the country against all enemies, foreign and domestic, against the Constitution. And I don't know what we're doing now. Again, as I've said before, you have someone in office that says in an interview he doesn't know if he's supposed to be defending and protecting the Constitution, which is just absolutely ridiculous, because that is the oath that you swore to abide by as the leader of this country and by proxy, the leader of the free world. If you're not willing to do that, then quite frankly, you don't need to be in the office. It's as simple as that. And now we're at a state where people are arguing and debating whether those that are being deported should have the right to habeas corpus. It's like, what are we talking about anymore, right? I don't know anyone, if it was you individually or someone in your family, if you were arrested and were never told what was your crime to be arrested, you'd be screaming from the highest of the highest hills about it. You would be incensed, rightfully so, for just to have your voice silenced by the government, just to put you in jail, to silence you. I don't understand where we are as a country right now. And again, this is all self-inflicted, by the way, to the point to where we don't understand people's rights. And I'm hearing people, and this is on social media, this is social media chatter, hearing people say that those that are being deported, like they don't have the right. Well, they're here illegally. They don't have the right. That's not what the Constitution says. They still have the right to be put before a judge about what they're being deported for or what they're being arrested for. That right does not extend only to American citizens. And it's always been that way. But you have people basically rewriting the Constitution in their own mind. Well, this is what I think. It's not about what you think. It's about what the Constitution actually says. And you have people now that it's just chatter to satisfy why they think millions of people should be deported. I had a disturbing conversation today with someone that I'll just say works for the government. I of course, will not reveal the name nor my sources. But to hear now how you got people that are federal agents being pulled off of cases. I'm talking about anything from child sex trafficking, prostitution, so on and so forth. All kinds of scurrilous activities. They're being pulled off of cases to meet a deportation quota. Okay. So the quota may be 300 a day or whatever the number is to get to the number that the government is talking about. I think it's 3 million, whatever the number is, right? Just to meet a quota, to do those type of things. I don't know of anyone, you can tell me if you feel differently. I don't know of anyone that has a problem with if you're deporting someone who has a criminal background, has been doing criminal activity here, and is here illegally. I don't know. I don't have a problem with that. All right. I don't know if any past president has had a problem with that. That's not what's happening now. To meet a quota, you are now bringing in people that are gardeners, okay, waiters, waitresses, someone who may be cleaning up hotel rooms, etc. You're bringing those people in now as though they pose a threat to the country and deporting them, right? You're not talking about a path to citizenship. It's just, oh, they got to go. And then what happens is the mindset of people that are okay with this type of stuff, they think that somehow we're getting all the bad people out of the country and America will be so perfect afterward. Oh, we won't have any crime. Oh, we won't have any bad people anymore. They're all gone. They're all out of the country. America's going to be quote unquote great. That's where we are as a country right now. And it's really sickening to see that. Not enough people speaking up about it. Maybe they are, maybe their voices are being silenced, or we just don't have the numbers. We're powerless to do anything more than what we're currently doing. So that's what is so depressing. And to see us at this state right now and not realizing that some of these people that we're talking about, and I would just say an overwhelming majority of the people that we're talking about that are now being deported, these are people that are contributing to our economy, contributing to our society. These are not people that are going around jacking people, that are not going around committing crimes, but that is the perception that this administration wants to give you. So whatever that number is, it looks like, look at what we've done. Look at all the bad people we've gotten out of here. Okay, and it's a ridiculous assumption of utopia that is being fed on to those that are not paying attention and those that somehow believe that this is going to make our country better. And I will say again, I've said this numerous times, and I'll say it here on this platform. We've had numerous mass shootings in this country, which make American citizens feel unsafe. All right. From the most innocent of places, we know that even tragically school has been targeted. Churches, synagogues, movie theaters, mosques, you name it, shopping centers, outdoor concerts. The list goes on and on and on. Okay. That is more of a threat to American citizens in this country than worrying about people who are here illegally. I have no problem with saying they need to be citizens as far as a pathway to citizenship. I don't have a problem with that. Allow them that opportunity. But instead of just throwing people away without the right to habeas corpus that we just mentioned, I don't understand. Well, I do understand what they're trying to do. It is just the fact that this is being allowed. It can never be acceptable to allow this to continue to keep happening. So I just want to share that. And I know I went on, but right now I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah. So, Bobby, I always have an issue with the term illegal alien and all that stuff. I think that's me, man, words matter. Mm-hmm. And I think it's done by design when they do that. But I want to go back to when you talked about the quota. Now, we know that we have a dysfunctional administration that is basically being run by a petulant child, right? And so that quota, that 3,000 a day or whatever the number is, I'm not sure exactly what it is. But what I do know, what I'm almost sure of, is that number is to beat and to outdo one person and one person only. And that is the man who was known as the deporter-in-chief, yep, Barack Hussein Obama.
Yep.
Now, Barack Obama, deported a lot of people who were not here legally the way they're supposed to be. However, he didn't break up families. He did it to where it was nothing to make the news about. He didn't boast about it. He didn't brag about it. He just did it because it was the right thing to do. And so, but this administration, here are those numbers. We know that Barack Obama's official photograph, has been taken out of the White House and all that kind of stuff. And so we know, what the deal really is looking at this man who doesn't look anything like him. And we know his background. I'm not going to, go into, who this guy, Donald Trump is and where he's come from and his family history is his father, grandfather, and all this stuff. I think that just do a simple Google search and you will find out why this guy seems to have so much disdain for, our former president. However, so that's what I think that is about, and he want him out of here by any means necessary, as long as he get to say at the very end is that he deported more than Barack Obama, and that kind of thing. So I'm not going to go into much of what you had already covered, Bobby. I just wanted to just put that little 2 cents in there about the quota piece, because some of the things you talk about, people been hearing on this platform is that we've been in this situation before. We've seen this before. This is just brand new to a lot of other folks. Everything that's happening right now, as far as habeas corp and all this stuff, everything that's happening, our community, this is what they saw in the 1940s and 1950s, and so, it's just brand new to everybody else to say you don't have any rights. You don't deserve to see a judge or whatever, right? Yeah. You are convicted, by the cop becomes the jury, the judge, and the executioner, and everything else is is about the court of public opinion when it come down to certain kind of people that look a certain kind of way. So I just want for people to know that you talked about that this has always been, the situation in America where everybody got rights, whether you're a citizen of America or not. Now, and I want to end my little piece with this, Bobby. Just think about this. Just think about if you, the people that's listening to this episode, if you were in a situation, and it's not so far-fetched at this point, where you had to, flee to another country because of what's going on here in the United States. And you flee into a country that is supposed to be a democratic country, a country that, practices democracy like the United States. You would expect, instead of them just kicking you out, you would expect, habeas corpus, also where you're going. So to say that these people don't deserve that, who are here, quote unquote, illegally, then look, remember that if you ever have to be in their situation, especially if many of the policies from your country causing them to flee in the first place.
It's it's interesting you say that. A couple quick things, and we'll close out this portion. I read President Barack Obama's book, A Promised Land. Learned so much from reading that book. It's an excellent book. It's long, but it's not a boring read at all. And one of the things he said regarding the number of deportations that happened under his presidency, he didn't create a new policy. He said he just reinforced the laws that were already on the books, and just said, hey, let's do this. Let's reinforce what's already there. And so the numbers are what they are, so he's labeled as the deporter in chief, amongst other things that people want to try to negatively lay on him. But that is one of the things he discussed in his book. And I always find it ironic when we talk about people that are here illegally, right? This dovetails into what you were just saying as well. How was this country founded? Was it founded by illegal aliens? Was it not an invasion of people coming from another country and taking the land from people that were already here? Were they citizens,
or was it already just here?
Yeah, were they citizens? I don't think so. I don't think they were. At least that's what they told us in history. So it's like America has to make up its mind. And I, like you, I don't want to speak for you, but the things that we were taught in history. Coming up, I just think that if you're going to teach something like that to us as children growing up, live up to what you say. Live up to what you say. That's not asking much. Dr. King said, live up to what you said on paper. And that was what he was trying to reinforce in the consciousness of the American government, to do what you said you were going to do. And, we've had a number of leaders. We speak often about Dr. King. We know the importance of someone like Malcolm X, Fred Hamptons of the world. The list goes on and on. There are just so many people involved in the civil rights movement. And what they're essentially trying to do now is roll back the clock 60 plus years to erase all of that work, all of that was done. And I'm just one that you just have to remind people to keep them in their consciousness of that's not acceptable. Look at what's happening right in front of your face. A lot of us that weren't alive during that period of time, we've had those conversations about what would we have done, if we were, young during that period of time. Well, you're seeing some things right now that are challenging that thought process. So what are you doing? Are you not speaking about it? Is this acceptable to you? It's those type of things that people should be conscious of and just think about. So I just want to put that on the mind before we move on. Anything else you want to add on that one?
Insufficient funds, brother.
Insufficient funds.
That's what he said.
Yes, sir.
No, Bobby, that's it. Let's move right into our hot topic that you got for us tonight.
So our hot topic tonight is about pardons and clemency, so to speak. Okay. So if you notice right now, there's been a lot of pardons, a lot of clemency that's going on with this current administration. Some of it is laughable to the point of sad, because the first ones were the January 6th rioters. Remember what I read earlier about habeas corpus? It says part of it says the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. What was the point of January 6th rioters to be exonerated by this current administration and not held accountable other than what happened to them previously? Now, if you did nothing wrong and you were jailed, let's just say you were present. Again, I'll roll my eyes at that. But if you didn't participate in beating of those Capitol officers, you were not trying to go into the Capitol and create havoc. If you're one of those people that were unfairly charged or something like that, again, I roll my eyes as to you being there in the first place, talking about stop the steal. Stop the steal what? But if you were one of those people that were, caught in the net, so to speak, and handed a sentence that you shouldn't have got, I'm not talking about you, okay? I'm talking about those that willingly participated and they know who they are. And I have to believe that a number of those people that were granted freedom applied in that category of knowing good and well what they did and they deserve to be punished. So we have someone that is in office right now that's just throwing out pardons like we playing a game of spades. It's just what you got. And so I've ran down a list of names, celebrity pardons. This is something he likes to do. Celebrity pardons since January. Rob Blagojevich, Jay Johnston, he was an actor, Julie and Todd Chrisley, Harry O, NBA Youngboy, Lil Wayne, Kodak Black, Larry Hoover is the latest name that has come out. Larry Hoover is an interesting name. I'm not the type of person that believes people can't be rehabilitated. Of course they can. People don't even research why Mr. Hoover went to jail in the first place. He ordered, it was a 19-year-old young man to be killed as he was the then leader of the Gangster Disciples. And so, not to mention the drug activity that destroyed our communities during that period of time and still continues to this day. But that's what he was originally put in jail for. And as it turns out, according to the government, that he was still running illegal activity from his jail cell. And that's where the federal charges came in. He has 200 years of state charges that are still left. But people are focusing on the fact that, hey, Trump gave him a pardon, from all the federal charges. So now he could actually be freed. I'm not focused as much on Mr. Hoover being freed as far as like he can't be rehabilitated. He's still a bad person. I'm not saying that at all. And I truly hope that he has been rehabilitated. And I am one that believes in our people that, yes, we can make a mistake and be better for it. And there's been a lot of active efforts for his release from prison long before now. My only thing is, again, it's about these celebrity pardons that he does. And you just have to wonder, because it's being talked about how this man doesn't even take the security briefings, intelligence briefings like he's supposed to on time. So are you telling me that all of a sudden you're now paying attention to what happened in these cases? Because you're just saying the same stuff. Oh, yeah, I think this person got railroaded. Oh, it was terrible. Are you reading and understanding what it is that either this person has done? Are they unfairly in jail? Are they rehabilitated? Or, what was the facts behind their cases which put them in jail anyway? I think he's just handing out pardons, and we know what he's doing. And it's appealing to those of us that don't pay attention, that suddenly now want to believe that, oh yeah, man, see, he's not that bad. Meanwhile, at the same time, he's rolling back consent decrees. He's rolling back all this legislation that was against the police to hold them accountable. So it's like you get people distracted with these things, like these type of pardons, because of someone popular, someone famous. I would grant you most people know Larry Hoover's name because of the song BMF. Big Meech and Larry Hoover, they put them all together. And the names because of a popular rap song by Rick Ross. I like the song. I'm not gonna front. I like the song. I know the song. And again, I sincerely hope and believe that someone like Mr. Hoover is rehabilitated. But I just get away from people just looking at the fact that he handed out a pardon and that absolves everything. It's a matter of a shiny object. Let me have you pay attention to this. Meanwhile, you're not paying attention to what I'm doing over here. That's the exact opposite. I'm just going to throw you a bone. And it's almost like if you're feeding fish, when fish are in a fish bowl, and you drop the little food in there and you watch them all, gather towards the food. That's kind of like what Trump does. That's what he does. That's what he does, is get you paying attention to all. Meanwhile, he's got a frying pan in the back, pouring hot grease in it, getting ready. You're not going to get goldfish, but I'm just giving you an example of, he's getting the pot ready. He's getting the frying pan ready, I should say, to cook some fish. That's what he does. So it's not about the names of the celebrity pardons that I want to focus on. It's just the method of which, how all of a sudden now he's passing out these pardons like crazy. I look back over the years of the number of clemency and pardons that were issued. So on his first term, it was a total of 1,700. President Biden did 4,245. This is pardons plus clemency. And under President Barack Obama, in total, it was 1,927. And I just see so much with people. I'm always bringing up President Obama a lot of times because he is truly one of our best presidents that we've ever had in this nation's history. And I challenge people too, if you get the opportunity on Netflix to watch Manhunt regarding the hunt for Osama bin Laden. People need to understand that mission that he gave the go ahead to do. If anything went wrong, his presidency is over. And we didn't lose anyone on that mission. And the fact to go find him is like, finding a needle in a haystack, and to actually get it right. What it took to make that decision. And all the while he's made this decision to go ahead and do it, they've got the White House Correspondents' Dinner going on, and he has to play cool to everyone in there. Only the few that knew what was actually going on behind the scenes in his administration to know that, what he was doing at that point in time, and to be cool. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I don't want to get off on that topic, but I just want to add that in there. But, back to what we were saying about these celebrity pardons, I just want to know what your thoughts are on pardons like this be an issue.
Yeah, but so look, thanks for the hot topic, man. I think it's very timely. It's needed because a lot of people are confused about, you know, why is he pardoning these particular people and all that stuff. My take is a little bit different than yours on as to why he's pardoning who he's pardoning.
Yeah.
Now, of course, this is all anecdotal, obviously, but I think that I basically think that Donald Trump is trying to almost set precedents. Now we know, you know, legal cases sets precedents, right? And we know that, you know, obviously many people on our Supreme Court don't care anything about precedents because they said all these things was precedents and that they would not go against precedents, but they did anyway. So usually, legally, you know, judges and lawyers and those kind of people, they don't go against, you know, set precedents. I actually think if you look at now, I think there's basically two primary reasons that he's pardoning the people that he's pardoning. With these rappers and all of this stuff, I basically, you know, this guy, he's always wanted to be, there's two things he wanted to do in life. He kind of wanted to be, you know, this great celebrity and all of that. We know he wanted to be, you know, play football and be in the NFL and those kind of things, or have some part of it. He had this little league or whatever that failed. Now, but also I think that with these rappers and stuff, it's that because he has almost in the black community, you know, in our community, he has basically, I don't know, kind of taken us all the way down to just hip hop. That he feels like he's doing something that, oh, but I threw them a bone, right? But I think a lot of this other stuff is precedence. I think Donald Trump is pardoning people to set precedents for things that I believe, anecdotally anyway, that this guy may be guilty of himself. And so it's like, look, hey, you know, that's not so bad. People have been pardoned for that. He probably won't say that I pardon the people, but I think that he actually I think that even some of the stuff with the rappers, but in different kinds of ways, I believe that this guy may be trying to set some kind of legal precedence. Now we know that he's the executive branch of the government, but I think this guy, you know, he feels that, you know, when you feel that you're a king and all this stuff anyway. So I really do believe that that's what it is, Bobby. I think that this guy has maybe done some of these things, or things that are very similar to the things that he's pardoning people for. And I actually believe that this guy maybe believe that he's setting some kind of precedence, and that if it comes up later on, it's like, hey, you know, such and such got offered this, you know, this person got offered that as well, very similar to what I'm doing. Because if you notice, he'll always say, you know, what he's doing, and he always point at himself or whatever. So again, it's just my 2 cents, but I think a very timely hot topic that you brought up.
I think that's an interesting take. And if you look at, I clearly see he's trying to curry favor. And as well, he's targeting influential figures. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if you look at rappers, like we said, and those that have been you know, glorified through hip hop, like, you know,
huge platforms. People have
absolutely,
huge platforms. Yeah.
absolutely. You know, so even with someone like Harry O, who helped, you know, basically helped found Death Row Records. You know, he's looking at these particular names of people. If I let them out, you know, I can curry favor with that part of the community to spread their influence on why I should either stay, be reelected, or to prove that I'm not so bad, you know, in the eyes of those that may oppose me, because they have a platform. And so, you know, it's a matter of again, it's distraction. It's all about distraction. And so if you're just going to have blanket pardons like he's doing, which most presidents wait till the end of their term. This is at the beginning. He's just letting all these people out. And so it's like you're trying to set the stage for something down the road that, because there's always a plan behind this, you know? So, and again, it's like, look at who he's targeting and what they're doing. he's currying favor and influence. So I get it. That's pretty much what he's doing. And again, for those that have been in,
and Bobby, I don't think he see a end. He's like, well, he's doing it at the beginning of his term. I don't think the guy rationally or I don't think he see a end to his term, honestly.
Right. Yes. Yes. And again, I'm all for those that have been overcharged. Those who may be innocent. I'm fine with that. I just can't believe, and it almost makes me want to laugh, even though it's not funny. How much did you study into, these people that you've given these pardons for what they did? Because if you're just going to have the court decide what the punishment should be for certain individuals, and you just come behind and say, oh, you got a raw deal, and just let them go. This is funny because here we are. We know as black people how the criminal justice system has been against us. We know this. We know how it can, how there are things in the government that we can question about certain individuals for decades. We know this. We know the legitimate stories that are out there. So again, it's not the push that, he shouldn't do these pardons, so to speak, but it's a matter of like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing why are you doing this now? So there's always an agenda and a hidden agenda that we have to be smart enough to see. That's all.
Yep. And again, if I think focusing on those two words you said, Bobby, raw deal. He always keeps saying they got a raw deal, raw deal.
Right.
Deal.
Right.
And you see where I'm going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's going to say, I got a raw deal. They trying to raw deal me or whatever. And so, but yeah, it's really sad, but hey, election has consequences, brother. But look, Bobby, hey, great episode, man. Great special guest, great hot topic, great, again, always a great civics lesson. Just that this episode, people got two civic lessons. One from Representative Prince and well, a couple from Representative Prince, and then, your civics 101 lesson. So appreciate it, man. Hey, it's about that time. Let's close it out, brother.
Hey, okay, listen. So catch the local lookout with Rodney and Bobby the first Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. Again, the first Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. So until next time, we will be on the lookout.
Peace, Bobby.
Peace.
Hey, family. Check us out on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Do you have a show idea or want to be on the show? Shoot us an email at blackmansroundtable@gmail.com. And please, like and follow us on social media.